welcome to Blind Mike Sax. As you may have guessed, I'm Mike, I'm blind, and I play the sax. I just wanted to put like a little introduction on YouTube. This is the first time I've ever done anything like YouTube. I've been playing the saxophone for a couple of years now. Well, say playing, I've been trying to play for a couple of years. Extremely hard instrument to grasp. But there's plenty of stuff out there on YouTube of people that you've got Jamie Anderson, Jay Metcalf, Wally Wallace, Dave Pollock, Scott Paddock. The one I'm subscribed to is Online Saxophone Academy. That's Paul Riley. You get a lot more bang for your buck on there. You get lots of free content and stuff. Lots of backing tracks and things. It's really good fun to play around with. But I say they're all good learning platforms. But over the years, I've found that's the best one for me. But the reason I thought I'd do this is because people with visual impairments and things like that, trying to learn an instrument is really quite difficult when you're unable to see PDFs and things like that. So I just thought I'm tinkering with the idea of possibly doing some little recording my practice sessions and put them on YouTube so people can see what somebody that can't see to read PDFs will do to learn music, because if you're blind or partially sighted watching this, you'll know yourself. You can't just click on the description below and all the comments and things. It's just an absolute nightmare if you're visually impaired. So for me, this was just a thought that there's obviously going to be people out there in the same boat as me that want to play either saxophone or a clarinet or a flute or anything like that, and they might want to learn this like I do, which is all by ear, because we don't really have the choice of reading the music and things. I can spend hours sitting listening to a piece of music trying to figure out what key it's in and what the changes are and stuff like that. So, and for me, when you first start, you want to be the best saxophonist in the world. You want to hit them screaming altissimo notes. You want to, it's quite easy to fall down a rabbit hole of trying to learn all those high altissimo notes, and before you know it, you've wasted about 6 months doing practice that you really don't need to worry about. You need to be focusing on your tone. I mean, I'm not a professional sax player. If you listen to my music, there's loads of bum notes in there, but for me, it's all about playing and enjoying it. It's not about I kind of I would like to be a professional, but I'm not getting any younger, and it's as you get older, and it doesn't matter how much fish or brain food you eat, you still forget. And being visually impaired, blind, you have to memorize all these things. You can't just look at the sheet music and think, oh yeah, that's where I need to be in the music. It's quite hard to sort of to follow. So I think that the thing to do is to make it fun and keep it basic. Instead of learning all these 7th, sharp 11ths, flat 9s and things, because a lot of people, when they play the saxophone and stuff like that, it's all the majority of it is all jazz and jazz standards. And I don't mind playing jazz standards, but I do like the poppy stuff, the funk stuff, the R&B stuff. I like things like that. But a lot of the platforms that are out there at the moment, they're all they all sort of hover around jazz and things like that, which is because people technically think of the saxophone as a jazz instrument, but there's so much, back in the 80s, there's so much saxophone in the charts and stuff, and you just don't hear it these days. It's all, everyone's going to jazz cafes and little gatherings and things like that, but it's so I just thought, well, firstly I wanted to introduce myself. I didn't want to just start putting loads of videos on YouTube and everyone, what the hell's this guy doing, so what I was thinking of doing was I might start once a week recording like a half-hour practice session, so you can see how I practice. I've got a piano down here, so I can tune up and things, so instead of using a visual display for tuning, do it all by ear. So if you're a beginner, or you know, you want to, you play an instrument but you don't know, you don't know how to practice, you know, I'm, you know, I'm thinking, I say, recording myself and maybe give you some ideas, whether you're a beginner or you just want to learn to play by ear. And you know, it's entirely up to you. I mean, I don't know if I get any response with this or what. At the end of the day, I'm practicing and recording anyway, because I think practicing and recording yourself adds that extra little bit of pressure. Um, so yeah, it just, you know, it makes you think, oh God, I'm being watched. I know it's only the camera watching you, but you know, it helps you. I think it helps you focus, and you know, if the opportunity comes where you could play in front of people in a performance or something, you know, at least you know it sort of, it helps take away those edgy nerves that you might get if you know you're being recorded when you practice. But also, it's good to look back on yourself and say, you know, oh God, well I was doing that wrong. I need to work on that, and then it's sort of, you know, you can be your own critic, sort of thing, you know. But yeah, so but there's lots of things out there. You know, people get fed up of, you know, like me. I got fed up just practicing in the bedroom on your own with no, you know, and it's, you know, you can't see to drive, so you can't drive to these all these different things that's going on around you, and most of them seems to be far away, you know, and lugging around your saxophone on trains and buses and things to get to a venue late at night. It's just an absolute nightmare. So there are platforms out there that you can use, that I use. You've got Zoom. If you change the settings so it's on the instrument settings, so it doesn't keep blocking out your instrument. You know, you can jam with friends over Zoom. You can put a backing track on and perform for people. But the most popular one that I use at the moment now, I've actually created my own little community on WhatsApp through Online Saxophone Academy with other members all over the world. So we've got Canada, America, Italy, Spain, a couple in the UK, and we all get together once a month, and we go on FarPlay. If you look on YouTube for FarPlay, that's a really cool app. You can lower your latency and stuff. I mean, in the same country, the chances are you can play together, but if you're further afield, you know, it's not. But what we do is we perform for each other. So we have an international open mic day on the internet, which is a good way of performing without having to traipse around on buses and trains with your saxophone and things, you know, especially now the winter's coming and stuff, depending where you are in the world, of course. You know, and you know, we put our backing tracks on and we perform for each other, and it's a good experience. So yeah, if you haven't checked that out, I would check out FarPlay. And they're bringing a new thing out called FarPlay Meet Beta, which I haven't actually researched properly yet, but it sounds pretty good. It sounds like you can play with people further afield with better quality, but like I say, I haven't looked into that yet as a new thing. But yeah, but if you know, you're interested in playing with other people, there's also another app you can download on your computer called Jamulus. And Jamulus there's no video involved, it's just music, and once you've created an account, it uses servers all over the world. For example, I was jamming with a guy called Phil in Italy a couple of weeks ago, and you know, I just went on there, started playing. He popped up and said, you know, do you want to jam together? He got his guitar out, and we sort of just jammed together for about an hour. It was really good fun. So there are platforms and things out there that, if you're blind and partially sighted and you can't get out to these things, there are opportunities. So that's one thing I wanted to share with you guys. But yeah, so the main idea behind this is I'm going to record like half an hour of a practice session. So it'll all be done by ear. It'll be long tones, you know, a scale. I'll pick a scale and things like that. So if you want to, I've no idea. I'm all new to this. I've no idea when it's going to be. I'm hoping maybe Sunday. If I get time, I'll record a half an hour session and post it on the channel on Sunday. And then you guys can either watch it, play along with it, or go, that's not for me, or whatever you want to do is all cool. Like I say, I'm just doing this for fun. I'm not doing it for any other reason other than, you know, it's I love music, love playing, and you know, all my life I wanted to play the saxophone. I love it. I just think it's such a cool shape and such a cool sound. But you know, when you're younger, you can't afford things like these. You know, it's a lot of money, and you know, and then you obviously life gets in the way, marriage, kids, jobs, work, and then before you know it, you're in your 50s. And you think, God, and you pick up the sax, and you don't know where the hell do I start with that, you know. But like I say, I've got all these platforms that you know, have all this cool stuff. Like I say, there's so many different good saxophone teachers out there. Say that the majority, I don't think cater. Well, I don't say anything about any catered for. They don't really cater for blind and partially sighted people. You know, we don't do PDFs and things like that. It's all to do by ear. So anyway, I digress. So yeah, so if you want to leave a comment and see if this is something, you know, you'd like to have a go at, you know, I'll record one anyway and post it on and see what sort of response I get. If I get no response, then I'll just keep posting my challenges, because I'll do a monthly challenge as well every month. So, you know, I'll be practicing that, and some fun stuff as well. You know, we'll stick a groove on and have a little jam along to that. So, you know, I'll give that a whirl and see how it goes. And you never know, I might be making another video soon. We'll see. Anyway, fingers crossed. Take care.